On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. One of the biggest problems that I think we face, many problems, obviously, but one of the big ones is our sense of right and wrong when it comes to science, when it comes to the health of vaccines. Most people don't realize vaccine companies have played a large role in the testing of their own products, have put money into people's pockets on boards that are supposed to protect us from, products that don't work the way they're designed to, or even close to that. But we've been taught to believe those people. So a lot of those sheeple that are out there, or normies, or I'm not trying to be a name caller per se, but just to segment the population, people that believe agencies like the CDC, or used to, no longer do, because Trump's taken charge. And now Kennedy's in charge of the CDC. And so they don't trust it now. And the problem, in a way, for them, is the CDC and the FDA are the ones they're supposed to trust when it comes to YouTube issuing guidelines for people and strikes and things along those lines. But they don't want to. They want to go with, the American Pediatrics or whatever that one was, the ones that came out and backed up the schedule. Information's coming out that the FDA has known about some of the problems that exist with some of these different drugs. Certainly the ones that transgender people are using off-label. Off-label, by the way. They wouldn't let us use Ivers. They wouldn't let us use hydroxychloroquine off-label. But they're allowed to use these I don't know what to call them. I think they're sort of, puberty blockers, probably not right because they're older. So I think it's, I don't know, whatever it is. Whatever these crazy SARS drugs or whatever, right? Something about the whatever. I don't understand them. Something to do with the serotonin. And again, it's causing this weird thing to where they don't get that serotonin spike, but that serotonin spike is the thing that they baked into all of us, that you're supposed to get that dopamine hit, if you will. Two different things, but similar reactions, similar things that in our own makeup. And so you block that experience, and come to find out, you cause depression, you cause suicide thoughts, you cause a lot of issues. So it's not a huge surprise that we're finding that a lot of the people that are losing their minds and going out and shooting people up, which is horrific, it's not the gun's fault, it's the individual. It's the fact that maybe we're using off-label drugs incorrectly. Maybe that should be looked into. Now, again, I'm not anti whatever you want to do after you're 18. I definitely don't like it when you're doing it before then, but whatever. It's not my choice, that's for sure. It's not my life. RFK Jr.'s fighting the fight. He's trying to bring it home. We've got a lot of things to talk about. Certainly Maha's going to be a big part of it right there. I'm not going to bury it too far. We do have a lot of crazy stuff to talk about, though. This is, fact check me. I want you Texans. I know I got a bunch of Texans that watch. Abbott, supposedly, again, I don't always trust this source. So usually it's good. They dig up some really, really good stuff. Tori digs up some really good stuff. Sometimes she's pushing an angle that's really strange, though, too. So I am always a little cautious. No offense, Tori. Love you. But you're ex-intelligence. You do things intentionally. I know that very much. It's okay. Abbott just appointed an ES&S voting system attorney as a judge over voting system contestations. I guess I'm saying that right. If you contest it, right? They literally put a dude that used to be with ES&S as the judge. Now, Greg Abbott, I want to believe for half a second that that's probably because that judge is so angry at ES&S and all the things they've learned there that they would be the perfect, that would make them partial. But then they worked for the same company and then they can't seem to be impartial either way, can they, Greg? That seems strange, sir. There's a clear conflict of interest going on. Our contestations already passed proof of standing, and we will be demanding recusal based on this conflict. At Ken Paxton, expect filing for recusals. This is outrageous. So if this is actually true, this should not be happening, and this is a big black eye to Abbott and Paxton. I don't know. I feel like you should be making noise too, but I get there's a game, guys. There's a political game that goes on. Abbott is not the saint that people want to believe he is. That's not necessarily the sinner either. right? Like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like he's possibly trying to do some good. We'll see. Now, this individual, Robert, whatever his name, her name, whatever. I wish I never brainwashed myself. Trans church shooter regretted the gender transition. Once you go, you go. I honestly think a lot of people that do it, to be honest with you, I think they see it as a way of getting attention. There are a lot of people that I have come to find in the world that are what I call attention whores. They're whores for attention. They'll do anything, whether hurting themselves, whether just making noises, whether just saying outrageous things, whatever it takes to get attention. Even in the case of doing bad things. This transgender thing, I think, to a large extent, is people that want to fit in, want to get attention, want to be cool. And this is like an easy outward thing you can do. Like it's a jacket you can put on that everybody's like, oh, totally, you're cool. And then they're like, cool for about half a second. And then just the process of what they're doing starts to actually envelop them as an individual. And it causes problems. Suicidal thoughts and other stuff. We'll get there, but obviously a lot of the shootings, I would say well over 50%. And I bet if we go back far enough and start looking, we'll see a number of interesting quinkydinks. But a lot of the shooters over the past 4 years have been transgender. I'm not saying transgender people are bad. I'm just saying I think a lot of people that are taking these meds can lose their minds. And I think we're seeing examples of that. We've certainly seen they not only want to do suicide, but they want to take people with them. And that's the scary part. I mean, it sucks. People that get suicidal, been there twice in my life. It sucks when you're suicidal. But taking people with you, like I didn't actually kill myself one time because I didn't want my roommate's daughter to see my dead body. Like I literally was like, that would just be too traumatic. I don't hate anyone else. I'm just miserable myself. I don't want to ruin someone else's life. That would just make me feel even worse. It's a bad place to be, that's for sure. Trans suspect in Catholic school shooting leaves video message. F those kids. He was pretty specific with his wording. Very sad. Supposedly was a member of that church, too. Now, one of the things that does interest me in this story, and I think it's very interesting, and I've been seeing these numbers thrown around a bunch lately, and for those of you guys that understand how the occult works and how these sorts of sacrifices work, this seems to fall into that. 14 is a funny number that I keep seeing. So 14 is definitely a number we keep seeing frequently. And they usually tie it in with 17. So his age was 17. 14 were wounded. 2 killed. And then we also see one of the other biggest ones. Confirmation that the shooter was 23-year-old, claiming to be transgender. 23 is the other one. 23, 32. Either of those. 17, 71. And I think 14, 41. All three of these get listed out in this story. Now, again, not an expert in the occult. I've studied what I've studied, and I've definitely not gone too terribly far down the occult rabbit hole. I've read some stuff, certainly, but Crowley, for example, I've read a couple of his books. There's a lot of crazy shit in there. I don't recommend just anybody reading it, and it could actually be very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. FBI Director Kash Patel put this out. Updates on the shooting in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The FBI is investigating the shooting as an act of domestic terrorism and hate crime targeting Catholics. Kind of think that's almost lame a little bit, but whatever. There were 2 fatalities, an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. In addition, 14 children and 3 adults were injured. The shooter has been identified as Robin Westman, a male born as Robert Westman. The FBI will continue to provide updates on our on ongoing investigation with the public as we are able. This individual stood outside the building, the church. There was windows. Stood outside with a rifle and just started firing through the glass. That's what he did. At some point, they say he killed himself in the back of the church. I'm not sure if he ever actually went inside the church Or if he was outside the church in the back, away from the street, which would be another way of referring to the back of the church, maybe killed himself outside the building. I don't know if he ever actually went inside the church. I don't know if like he was afraid he'd catch fire, or he literally had this like, I know I'm going to see my maker and I don't want to go inside a church and actually kill people, but outside a church, killing people inside a church, somehow that, I don't know. I don't know how to get inside the mind of a wild man. But nonetheless, Minneapolis shooter was a member of the church, we are finding out. As much as I want to hear Alice Tang tell me that, that's really ultimately what she's going to say. In a very beautiful way. Gavin Newsom, he's blaming Republicans for the shooting. Just think about that for just a second. First off, Gavin Newsom, some strange reason anybody in Gavin Newsom's circle sees this. Really? First off, it's a transgender individual. We're blaming us because, we're not pro-trans, and so they're mad at us? These people are losing their minds, and back when Biden was president, they were shooting people then too, by the way. So you're blaming Republicans. Klobuchar calls for a national assault weapons ban. Chuck Schumer pushes gun control. Ilhan Omar, we need federal legislation on guns. Psaki, there's an effort to weaponize some of the details on the Minneapolis shooter's identity politics. To blame something other than the guns is crazy in her mind. It's got to be the gun's fault. It can't be the nut job holding the gun. No. It's got to be the gun itself. And they're blaming Republicans. They keep putting out this rhetoric constantly. Democrats do, constantly. End of democracy, the end of the world. Got to get up, get out there and get on the streets. And all the stupid shit they say. And here we are. Violence happens often when the Democrats seem to get involved. Alec Brusewitz posted this. Your administration hijacked Easter Sunday. This is in regards to our little friend Sackface. Your administration hijacked Easter Sunday to promote and celebrate mentally ill trans people. Now, you're attacking Christians for praying after a trans terrorist shot children at a church? You have serious issues, Sackface. And she was talking about how, and this was the second post of two, but prayer is not freaking enough, is what she says. Prayer does not end school shootings. This was a church, by the way. Prayer does not make people feel safe sending their kids to school. It actually does. So those weapons out and about. Prayer does not bring these kids back. Enough with the thoughts and prayers. Now, one of the things the trans kid did say in his videos, he talked about Brandon Herrera. He's someone I've followed for a long time. I think he ran for Congress. He's down in Texas. He's known as the AK guy. I love Brandon. I don't know him personally or anything. I've watched a butt ton of his videos. I love this dude. He's funny as hell. He's got a similar attitude to me. I love the dude. So he came out and said, I got nothing to do with this guy. This dude's a crazy man. Like, nah, So good on Brandon. Good guy. If you've ever watched him, he's fun. Yeah, the AK guy. Dude's a lot of fun. He's just a good guy. He's a good guy. I like him. I don't think he's a bad dude. Hope not. Anyways, I'll be very upset, Brandon, but I'm pretty sure Brandon's a good guy. All right, some of the Maha stuff. And this is, does directly tie in, believe it or not, to what we just experienced in the previous stories. But America First Legal has released this. Biden's FDA knew puberty blockers were linked to increased risk of depression and suicidality, yet still recommended approving them for children. This was back in 2022, January. Most of these patients had CPP, but a handful were transgender kids using the drugs off-label. We did find increased risk of depression and suicidality, as well as increased seizure risk, and we issued SLCs to the entire class for these AEs. There is definitely a need for these drugs to be approved for gender transition. Pushing through. The individual that sent this at the time, Teresa.Kehoe at fda.hhs.gov. So, I'm sorry, it was from Shannon Sullivan at fda.hh.gov to Therese Kehoe and Naomi Lowy Clinical team leader, Division of General Endocrinology. These are the people that we're supposed to trust. Literally, they know there's a problem, but we're going to go ahead and improve it anyway. Especially knowing, at least from our standpoint, now not everybody, like normies aren't going to connect this dot, but the fact that this has been such a political thing, and it's been crammed down our throats and shoved into schools and just forced upon us in a weird kind of way, especially the timing of it for that matter, and how quickly they were pushing it, all of this seems very suspect. Secretary Kenny posted this. It says, I promised 4 things. 1, to end COVID vaccine mandates. 2, to keep vaccines available to people who want them, especially the vulnerable. 3, to demand placebo-controlled trials from companies. 4, to end the emergency. In a series of FDA actions today, we accomplished all 4 goals. The emergency use authorizations for COVID vaccines, once used to justify broad mandates on the general public during the Biden administration, are now rescinded. FDA has now issued marketing authorization for those at higher risk. Moderna, 6+ months. Pfizer, 5+ years. Novavax, 12+ years, meaning the age, that or older. These vaccines are available for all patients who choose them after consulting with their doctors. The American people demanded science, safety, and common sense. This framework delivers all 3. Thank you, Dr. Macari, FDA, for your leadership. It's a good job by him. CDC Director Susan Monarez has been ousted in vaccine policy clash with RFK Jr. 4 top officials quit in a leadership crisis, is what they're calling it, but Susan Monarez is no longer director at the Center for Disease Control. Director. The director level. No longer. Mark S. Zaid posted this. Abby Lowell and I represent CDC Gov Director Susan Monarez. Sorry, I don't know, I can't. Contrary to government statements, Dr. Monarez was neither resigned nor yet been fired. We have issued the following statements. To my understanding, she has in fact been fired, at least at this point in time. Maybe not yet as of yesterday at 4:12 p.m., but as of today, the 28th, right now in Pacific time, 12:17 p.m., which you can kind of see on the, you can see on the screen, right? Yeah, sort of, down there. Can't really see it. There's letters crossing it. So this was the lady saying back during Congress,
in the production of the COVID-19 vaccine, had approved the mRNA vaccines as safe and had demonstrated efficacy associated with them.
So you would not be prejudiced from the get-go against such a platform, such a vaccine built upon a platform, whether it's for COVID, flu, for Lyme disease, or anything else?
That is why I have no a priori prejudice against the mRNA platform or any other approach that is being taken to develop vaccines. And that is why we have safety and efficacy standards that the FDA puts in place for any of these medical product trials to ensure that anything that is being developed, we can have the confidence that we can put it in ourselves and our children, our family members.
So then you, as the CDC director, responsible for setting the ACIP agenda, would not shrink from the recommendation of such a vaccine. Would you also recommend that the 17 members be constituted with those who actually have experience with mRNA research and could know both sides of the safety discussion?
Yeah, we absolutely need highly trained scientists and medical professionals to be able to participate in the ACIP meeting. If they don't have deep technical knowledge in mRNA, they have to be able to understand complicated scientific information, and they have to have the temerity to ask questions to make sure that they have clarity of understanding of information that is being presented to them.
Though it doesn't seem like she was doing that, does it? Not at all. Yes, she was fired as CDC director for trying to keep mRNA shots on the recommended childhood vaccine schedule and saying vaccines save lives. Monarez has a long history of connections to Bill Gates and his foundation, so we're finding out. So yeah, CDC was a corrupt, bought-off agency. I don't say shut it down per se, though fixing it is definitely a good idea. But Bill and Melinda Gates run their Health Canada, Walt Disney Parks, PayPal, Pfizer, Pepsi, all the people you would expect. Novartis, right? Kaiser, all these things that you would expect to be pushing this stuff. So Susan is no longer with us as far as the CDC. Of course, one of the big talks, again, this is what's killing the censorship regime. CDC and FDA are now on the same page. They're now basically spouting the same information, which goes against what they used to say. So now we've got the American Academy of Pediatrics. And of course, they've come out and they've recommended their vaccine schedule. But then, who are they? Right? Maybe tied into the UN, whatever. But the point is, and not that I'm going to try to explain to you who they are, what is interesting about it is that people are going to grasp onto whatever they can. Now, it used to be the CDC says, the FDA says. Well, neither of those say it, so we're going to say that. Well, the FDA and CDC recommend that the vaccines are not necessarily good. Well, the American Academy of Pediatrics disagrees. Who the hell are they? Who cares what they think? Now, again, I didn't care what CDC thought. I didn't care what FDA thought before. Still don't, but I think it's cool that they're, at least I feel, on the same page as me now. Got RFK Jr., he's doing a phenomenal job. So a lot goes into all this nonsense with the AAP, the Academy, Pediatrics, blah, blah, blah. And again, this is part of the fun. So RFK Jr. said it sounds like CDC should be the next portion of the swamp to be drained. We're going to find out.
At risk.
He definitely was talking about it. I haven't actually watched this yet. But check it out. Since 17 hurt, 2 killed, right? So again, the numbers that they keep throwing out are very interesting. And again, these are probably legitimate numbers. I'm not trying to go all Alex Jones here, if you will, but got to admit, it's interesting. It's like the individual that did the killing, the number that kept popping in their head over and over and over, voice to skull technology, over and over and over and over and over. That number just, okay, stop shooting and then kill yourself once you hit that number. When you're in a traumatic situation, I don't know how many of you have been in traumatic situations. Many of you have been in far more traumatic situations than I probably have, but I've certainly been in my fair share. And things slow down in a very weird way when you're in a traumatic situation. It's just bizarre. Time creeps forward. So for anybody that says time's the same, no, it's not. No, it's not. An hour can feel like a second can feel like an hour when you're actually in that weird moment. So again, craziness. And we are all kind of going through this trauma together. At least we've got motions happening that are helping us, right? But again, the numbers, the bad guys are still doing stuff. They've still got some MK Ultra candidates out there, if you will, or assets, they're frequently called. Needless to say, here's Kennedy talking about some stuff.
The CDC director was fired after refusing to resign as her lawyers accuse you, sir, of putting millions of American lives at risk as a CDC vaccine chief slammed in a resignation post. What are your thoughts on that, sir?
Well, I'm not going to comment. It would be inappropriate for me to comment on a personnel issue. What I will say is, President Trump has very, very ambitious hopes for CDC right now. CDC has problems. We saw the misinformation coming out of COVID. They got the testing wrong. They got the social distancing, the masks, the school closures that did so much harm to the American people. Today on CDC's website right now, they list the 10 top the 10 greatest advances in medical science, and one of them is abortion. Another is fluoridation, another is vaccines. So we need to look at the priorities of the agency. If there's really a deeply, deeply embedded, I would say, malaise at the agency. And we need strong leadership that will go in there and that will be able to execute on President Trump's broad ambitions. The agency is in trouble and we need to fix it, and we are fixing it, and it may be that some people should not be working there anymore.
Yeah, some people should not be working. So, I mean, he's answering the question without answering the question, because you're not allowed to answer that question. Things are changing. The censorship
CDC
regime,
director-
I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that progresses because, again, it's been a rough ride all the way across this road. So it'll be fun to see where it ends up in the big picture. Again, with the health stuff that's going on, with the freaking screw worm, just stupid stuff that's happening, you need to be able to take care of yourself. I think one of the best places to be able to take care of yourself is the wellness company. I'm going to talk about a couple things here. I don't want to spend a huge amount of time. I always say famous last words. First off, you want to go to TWC, the wellness company, twc.health/OTF. TWC.health/OTF. The Contagion Kit is all about being antiviral, and it's an incredible kit. There's a whole slew of stuff: bronchitis and COPD, influenza, ear infections, sinus infections, rheumatoid arthritis. This antiviral stuff works. In fact, I got a buddy right now, the guy that was doing the Prime Across America. He is doing the cleanse, and the cleanse is supposed to majorly help with the arthritis, especially rheumatoid. This thing has 25 tablets, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, 14 of those. We got Z-Pak, the azithromycin. It's an antibiotic. It's an oral, 12 tablets, very strong and good stuff. Another antiviral, that's a generic Tamiflu. It's 10 tablets of that. And you've got budesonide, which is like an asthma medication. And you've got the inhaler thing that comes with it. So those open up your airways when you're having a hard time. This is going to cover all sorts of anything that they throw at you in a random way. So if you want to have like the kit to keep you safe, this is it. Now, there's another way to come at this, and this is kind of, I think, the direction I might go for a few reasons. I love this parasite cleanse. This, again, will help with rheumatoid arthritis as well. And so that's a giant help in the big fight. This is also one of those things where it cleans parasites out. It cleans a great number of parasites out of your system. This is highly recommended. Now, when you talk about the milligrams and the number of pills you get, a lot of people kind of get a little freaked out about the price, but the price is 90 pills. 90 pills, 1 pill a day. It's 3 months. Okay, so it's 3 months, 90 days. When you divide $5.99 into 90 days, you don't get that much. It's like, what, $2, under $2, whatever, right? If you try to buy these pills by themselves and then actually compare and do the math, it's significantly cheaper, actually, to buy them together. 25 milligram Ivers with 250 milligrams of mebendazole. This is a great deal. And you're going to save a little money going through our using the coupon code OTF. It's going to save you some money for sure. So you're going to be stoked on that. This will actually be one of those things where you can do the parasite cleanse. And personally, I'm going to buy it once I finish. I'm still working on it. Once I finish it, I'm going to get another one. And that'll be the thing that I'd rather use if I get a bad coronavirus, if I get a bad something, I'm going to hit it with this, dude. This is out of control as far as how strong it works, and it knocks stuff down. Ivers works great too. Again, you could have the Contagion Kit. It's going to save you significantly less expensive. If you just want something on the side in case something comes up, that one's awesome. Also, the Ultimate Spike Detox is another really big deal. It was designed literally to take out that little spike protein, and that spike protein is the little bastard that you don't like. He's the one that was genetically altered, the cleavage site, all that nonsense. This spike detox was designed to find it specifically. Nothing else. It. And when it finds it, it attaches to it. When it attaches to it, it takes that spike cell or molecule out of commission. And basically you pee it out. Is what happens, ultimately. So if you've got the spikes floating in your body, if you rolled up your sleeve, you know somebody living with someone that did, you probably want to get on the Ultimate Spike Detox. It's not horribly expensive. It is incredible what it's doing for you in the big picture, and you will notice a difference. I had one lady actually swear by it that I saved her life. She said it with tears in her eyes, too. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. Tanya, thank you. So a lot of great products. You check them out. They got them by Goal, anti-aging, appetite control, cleanse, detox, hormones, sexual health, heart health, immune support, Spike collection, new products, which they've always got new stuff coming in. They've also got the Recharge, which is the methylene blue. Highly recommend that. With your mental acuity and stuff along those lines. You want to be the best Scrabble player out there or the best trivia pursuit or, I don't know, whatever the hell the kids are doing these days. Go to twc.health/OTF, twc.health/OTF. Yeah, make sure you give yourself the best chance at survival as we go through these crazy times. That's all there is to it, because nobody else cares about you. And we're finally getting the truth out, thank God. But there's still a number of numbnuts out there that are doing silly willy things. So we've got to make sure we are prepared for that. All right, so many would say math is racist. At least I'm saying that. And what that kind of means is we've got to blame math for being the problem, so we dumb down the skills for math so more people can pass. But the problem is the rest of the world's using that exact same math, not the one we made up, but the real math, to make real things happen, and we're failing. We're falling behind. Now we're importing people from India, we're importing people from China, we're importing people from other countries because our own citizens are frickin' retards. Baltimore school collapses into failure factory under Democratic mismanagement. Baltimore literally had 40% of the kids in the school district. 40% of the kids in the school district, graduating kids, 40% are not proficient in math. Can't even pass a proficiency test. Don't have any proficiency. Or another way to say it, they suck at math. This is not how we're going to make America great again. That's that one comedian I played a few days back, the first part of the show, right? He's like, learn math to save your country. Because literally, math it's the language of the universe to a large extent.
And I think it's one of the most important things we're doing at this table. So bringing education back to the states where you have the parents running it, where you have the school boards that are local. We have people running from Washington that have never even been to the state that they're in charge of. They've never even been there, and I don't think they care about it.
Probably don't. They probably don't. So again, we've got to deal with this. Federal judge surge has actually helped crime. Here's the mayor of D.C. talking about it.
The federal surge has had a significant increase on crime in Washington, D.C. And we greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do in this city. The most significant thing that we are highlighting today is the area of crime that was most troubling for us in 2023. Now, we have driven it down over the last years, but I'm going to get my glasses so I can make sure I can see it correctly. But for carjackings, the difference between this period, this 20-day period of this federal surge and last year represents a 87% reduction in carjackings in Washington, D.C. We know that when carjackings go down, when the use of gun goes down, when homicide or robbery go down, neighborhoods feel safer and are safer. So this surge has been important to us for that reason.
Yeah, when those things go down, people stop going down, meaning falling down from getting shot or killed or dead. Yeah. People that don't get affected by crime don't seem to have the problems with crime when crime goes down. Smart how that's coming around. But Democrats don't seem to have it figured out yet, do they? Democrat Abigail Spanberger, good name, vows to turn Virginia into sanctuary state for illegal aliens. So let's like quintuple down on that. That's an excellent idea. Virginia Democrat gubernatorial candidate Abigail Spanberger. Good Lord, really? These people, they still don't know. They don't get it. In a major development that poses a massive threat to Democrats' political future, Louisiana has officially asked the Supreme Court to ban using race as a consideration in drawing congressional districts, which would abolish VRA districts. These two gerrymandered as F Democrat districts stand to be abolished. They look fair to you? Nope. And here's the picture. This is the two Democrat districts that are literally divided specifically on race. The rest of the state, frickin' Republican. Yeah, that's not. We'll see. SCOTUS is going to look at it in October, but it'll be before the election. California GOP legislators proposing creating new state from several counties, a two-state solution. Just wanted to give a call out to my Republican California people here. Stop being stupid. Get busy doing something useful. And what I mean by that, because you're trying to figure out, how do I get attention? Start talking about the problems in the state and get on every single show, every single sitcom, every single newscast, every single fucking thing you can get your stupid fucking face on. Every day, all the time, get the message out. How about that? Fucktards. Make it a fucking separate state. Jesus. Texas, you got the same problems too. You got a bunch of dumbasses running around. In New York, I don't even want to bring you up. You're just not even worth it. Sorry, got a little fired up. Actually, no, I met my representative. No way. Michigan Supreme Court rules unrestricted phone searches violate the Fourth Amendment. Your cops aren't allowed to do that anymore. Thank God. They just grab the phone and search everything. Well, you got to be a little more specific. You don't need to necessarily search every conversation I've had. I mean, God knows what other stuff you might find that you're not looking for, and you shouldn't necessarily be able to look for. So the court actually said, yeah, no, you firm line in the sand. You can't just go and willy-nilly have everything you want. This was kind of interesting, if I can get out of it first. So Georgia judge orders Fulton County Board of Commissioners to pay $10,000 per day, a fine, for the rogue Democrats who refused to appoint Republican nominees to Fulton County Board of Elections as required by law. Judge already said you must do it. They're essentially saying, no, fuck you, and shucky darn, that's not going. Now, I actually want to play this because this is one of the Republican ladies on this board. It's a 2-2 board. 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans. They're supposed to get 2 more Republicans. It'll be a 4-2 board. The 2 Democrats will no longer have any power at all. This is why they're doing this. To hold power while they can. This is what's happening to the Democrat Party across this great nation. Now, I want to play this. It's a little long, but it's pretty good. I'm going to speed it up a hair. But I think you'll appreciate what is going on inside this thing. And again, it's crazy what we're dealing with at this point in time. It's blowing my mind as I try to do multiple things simultaneously. This is, like I said, right, there's like 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. I think this maybe is a Republican lady too. And she, it's funny, she's got a seat between them. So she's obviously not on board with this chick. This chick feels as far away from these people from a body standpoint, right? She fucking hates these people. You'll feel that in a moment. And then these 2 biatches are sitting over on their little side, right? So they're right next to each other. They're like, no, we're here to engage. You guys are holding everything up illegally. There's 2 seats that should be filled that are not filled. Needless to say, I think this chick nails it. And I think it's worth it because this is representative of the entire country, not just Fulton County, though an extraordinarily important county that we are taking back.
I just want to correct some things because there is a lot of misinformation that goes around, and I think public comment corrected. There seems to be misinformation that Julie Adams had 3 lawsuits. She had 1 lawsuit. That misinformation was stated by commissioners up here on the dais. It was repeated here by Democrat officials that claim they're nonpartisan, but they're so highly partisan, it's ridiculous. You need to know the difference between mail-in ballots and absentee ballots. Mail-in ballots are when states mail everybody a ballot. Absentee ballots are not going away. Seniors are not going to lose their ballots. That was something that's put out there, and it's misinformation, disinformation. Electronic voting. Yes, there are people that want hand paper ballots counted, hand-counted paper ballots. There are people that want those. We have electronic voting. We need to make it more secure. But the Democrats were for hand-marked paper ballots. Elena Parrott was on the floor advocating against the Dominion machines. Well, now they seem to got the system in place that works in their favor, so now, oh no, we want to keep these machines. Fair fight. Commissioner Ivory, you're familiar with Fair Fight since you are a former Fair Fight activist, or still are, and your staff is. They are at our election Gavrio conference recruiting election members to become a part. Election deniers undermine our faith. That's so ridiculous. What is an election denier? Election denier is anybody who wants integrity in our elections. By state law, we need to reconcile that the number of people voted equals the number of ballots cast. We do not obey that law. There is a new rule that we have to do it before certification. That is why Julie Adams Her lawsuit was, I need information to make sure that the number of people voted equals the number of ballots cast. That's called integrity. That's called checks and balances. That's called transparency. We are anything but transparent in our elections. And all we are doing is advocating for secure processes. Did you know in the PSC race, we had 8 tabulators that came in, or I think maybe 7 tabulators that came in on Friday night and were not secured. No security at all to them. They sat in our warehouse till Tuesday with hundreds of temp workers all around it, night and day. But no, we have secure elections because the press, the liberal press, local and national news says that we have secure elections. So we must be undermining our democracy by calling out these questions, by calling out these things, by advocating for more secure processes. And I do respect both of you for staying up here. Thank you. I appreciate you guys being here and stating your decision not to appoint them. I respect that honestly, and I hope in the future that we can have simple conversation. I know Commissioner Ivory, you and I have talked about, we are on opposite sides, but we don't get anywhere by just staying on opposite sides and putting out misinformation. We need to have a talking community. We need to face each other face to face, dispute the facts. So I do appreciate that. I hope we can have further discussion later. But with that being said, I think this whole, we're undermining our elections. If they get nominated, our democracy is gonna end. If you have someone in there that's actually questioning to see materials, to make sure things add up, to make sure our voter rolls, people aren't voting twice, because there are people who are voting twice. They vote in our state and they vote in their state, and they're not removed from our voter rolls. So we are advocating for a better election process. This is who the GOP picked to represent them, and courts now have given us an order that they need to be appointed. So with that being said, I think we need to take a vote.
Yeah, and I don't know if the vote passed, but yeah, $10,000 a day fine. This is now going to cost taxpayers money because of these 2 Democrats. Go ahead, Democrats, drag it out. See how much Fulton County loves you for it. This is what's happening in the big picture right now. The Democrat Party is being put into all sorts of difficult situations. Donald Trump, truth this, Monday's court order in Utah is absolutely unconstitutional. How did such a wonderful Republican state like Utah, which I won in every election, end up with so many radical left judges? All citizens of Utah should be outraged at their activist judiciary, which wants to take away our congressional advantage and will do everything possible to do so. This incredible state sent 4 great Republicans to Congress, and we want to keep it that way. The Utah GOP has to stay united and make sure their 4 terrific Republican congressmen stay right where they are. I mean, he's calling them terrific. Okay, sure. I'm not going to disagree with Trump, at least to his face, but I mean, Romney's finally out of there, I think, but I don't know if I'm totally on board with those guys. Every once in a while, they do good stuff. DOJ-led audit to put 400,000 different contracts under scrutiny. So they're actually, this thing's saving $15 billion? Yeah, 20 to 15 billion, 15 to 20 billion, depending on how you stretch it or who's telling you, basically. Doge database is saying 20 billion, Pentagon spokesperson saying 15. So there you go. Tomato. Right. Anyway, they've got a lot of bad contracts, a lot of bad bullshit. This is the kind of stuff that we want to see. Now, first off, the Pentagon spends almost $1 trillion a year. Well, or at least in defense. So these are the places where we can get a lot of bang for the buck, probably. And a lot of people like Milley and shitheads like that are probably being rewarded as well. There's slush funds, there's bullshit. Like we've heard the CIA, they've told us all this stuff. Okay, they've got secret bank accounts, they got crap, they got money all over the place. Now I'm hoping, to a large extent, we've gotten access to those accounts. There's your Nasara Jassara right there. They pull that friggin' money out. There's probably in excess of trillions of dollars in just bullshit money that's been given to people that we could likely take away. Especially if they pass away on accident. I don't know what happens. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered a full investigation into Microsoft's use of CCP-linked engineers on Pentagon cloud projects. I found this to be amazing, because how did this happen? And the fact that it's no longer happening is key. we are winning this battle. China is getting taken out of commission. They are soon to be silenced. They will not know what we're doing, and it will destroy them because they have built an entire generation upon stealing information and re-engineering it. But if no one lets you in to steal, then your entire, you don't know how to make shit up on your own anymore. So it's going to be interesting. Again, I love the Chinese people. The CCP is one of the darkest, nastiest pieces of shit on this planet. So obviously we've got to get that taken care of. This is why TikTok doesn't like me. I say shit like that. That'll get you banned. All said, I'm not on TikTok, so fuck them. Anyway, here's Pete Hegseth.
Last month, the Department of Defense was made aware of an Obama-Biden-era legacy program called Digital Escorts. For nearly a decade, Microsoft has used Chinese coders, remotely supervised by U.S. contractors, to support sensitive DoD cloud systems. The program was designed to comply with contracting rules, but it exposed the department to unacceptable risk. I mean, if you're thinking America first and common sense, this doesn't pass either of those tests. So I initiated an immediate review of this vulnerability, and I want to report our initial findings. So the use of Chinese nationals to service Department of Defense cloud environments, it's over. We've issued a formal letter of concern to Microsoft documenting this breach of trust, and we're requiring a third-party audit of Microsoft's digital escort program, including the code and the submissions by Chinese nationals. This audit will be free of charge for U.S. taxpayers. I'm also tasking the Department of Defense experts with a separate investigation of the digital escort program and the Chinese Microsoft employees that were involved in it. These investigations will help us determine the impact of this digital escort workaround. Did they put anything in the code that we didn't know about? We're going to find out. Additionally, all Department of Defense software vendors will identify and terminate any Chinese involvement in DoD systems. It blows my mind that I'm even saying these things in such common sense that we ever allowed it to happen. That's why we're attacking it so hard. We expect vendors doing business with the Department of Defense to put U.S. national security ahead of profit maximization. I'm committed, like the president is, to ensuring that our national security networks are secure. Again, it's America first, and it's common sense. This never should have happened in the first place, but once we found out about it, we've attacked it aggressively from the beginning, and we're going to follow all the way through the tape to make sure that this is addressed. So DoD is working in conjunction as well with our partners in the rest of the federal government to ensure that all U.S. networks are protected. God bless.
Am I the only person that kind of feels like the kid in the car that's like, are we there yet? I swear. Oh, well, we're not, I don't think, quite there yet. So I just want to show you guys how the Mexican senators roll. I can't wait till it gets like this here. I mean, I bless, release, and reset, but I mean, I hope not. I mean, I hope we can stay civil. Better way to put it. And senators in Mexico engage in fistfights after heated debates. Dude, second guy went after the dude on the right. When you were watching it, the guy on the right, you're going to see two people kind of like, dude, and the guy's like, the more violent guy is not the dude that gets ganged up on, oddly. The more violent guy is the guy that gets joined with. So I'm guessing the dude on the right's the conservative-ish kind of dude. Whatever it had to do with the cartels and whether or not the U.S. military should be involved. And again, there's some stuff leaking out, what's happening and not happening, and I don't know. I know supposedly we're flying drones over, but there's no way we're not doing it without the okay from Scheinbaum, or at least the military there. I don't know who's in actual charge, right? And the cartels, and this is something that I agree with Trump 100%. This is totally where the military would have to be involved. And yes, cartels, mansions, oh my gosh. Dude, smart bombs find those things easy. It's not hard to blow up a house. Not at all, actually. I'm not saying I want to have that happen, but... And the second guy tries to hit him. This guy, love it, right? So he gets involved. This dude pushes this mofo. Again, now it does seem like this dude might have started it. I don't know. That was like the one jury I got thrown off one time. It was because I'm like, whoever threw the first punch is guilty. You might have pushed first. You might have pushed first, buddy. I think he did. Let's see. I don't know. He was sort of touching him. I don't know. Touching's not necessarily assault, much trickier. Shoving of force, yeah, that's more assaulty, if that's such a thing. You know, you salty and a little sugar, and they go together really nice. Anyway, Governor Pritzker, Donald Trump was talking about him, and he said he had 6 murders in Chicago this weekend. 20 people were shot, but he doesn't want to ask me for help. Can this be possible? The people are desperate for me to stop the crime, something the Democrats aren't capable of doing. Stay tuned. And what's really cool about this is Trump is showing not only is it easy to fix the crime problem, it's easy to fix the crime problem, but it's quick. And so all the governors and mayors have had at their disposal the ability to end this, and yet still don't. That seems like counterproductive to what your job is as a steward of the city that you got voted in to do. I mean, again, that's probably against the contract. Similar situation here. The feds, Lisa Cook, she's suing Trump. She still hasn't denied the mortgage fraud thing, which is good, because if she publicly came out and said that's not true, she'd be just destroyed. Destroyed. That's lying. It's obvious. There's signatures. It's just like, did you sign this? Yes. Did you sign this? Yes. Did you not understand what it meant? I didn't know. I mean, at the moment, I was, technically living there. I don't think it's going to work. Grand jury, the D.C. grand jury, the dude that threw the Subway sandwich. I love how they really, I don't know if you guys know, so they've been, when they told the story, it was like it was a Subway sandwich. They were getting that freaking full foot long of advertising out of that deal. That's for sure. Hopefully Subway enjoyed it. You're no offense to Subway, but man, your product sucks. That's all I'm gonna say. My second job was at a deli, and you guys just ruin anybody that's in a New York deli, a real deli, right? Come on, guys. Like Subway's like, man, it's like just everything about it's disgusting. It smells kind of weird even. I don't know what it is. Anyway, it's the bread, I think, but yeah. Anyway, if you love Subway, I'm sorry. I apologize. My humblest apologies. Subway, I apologize to you. I just think your food sucks. I mean, everybody else can enjoy it all they want. All said, you can't throw a Subway sandwich at people, but in D.C. you can get away with it, apparently. That's my point, I guess. D.C. grand jury's like, nah, we're not going to indict that guy. They were trying to hit him with a felony, though, which is pretty hardcore. I mean, it is assault, technically, but you threw a sandwich at someone. If it was still in the wrapper, especially, like, I don't know, I had lunch later. That was awesome. He actually threw a pastrami sandwich at me. It was incredible. I was stoked. My favorite sandwich. Yeah, it was Subway. Whatever. It was okay. FBI Director Kash Patel put this out in regard to D.C.'s numbers. 1,200 arrests up till now. Making progress. 35 arrests involving FBI, 3 gun recoveries, 12 drug seizures, 73 individuals arrested by federal partners total. Pretty good day. 1,200 arrests. In what, the 2-3 weeks? 2 weeks? Or what are we at? Somewhere around there. Jack Smith's attorneys, they ridicule the lawfare against him. It's lawfare. I'm sorry, I'm loving it. I'm loving the lawfare stuff. Oh yeah, I'm not even on camera. That's awesome. I'm loving the lawfare stuff. Because it's not even, I mean, it's like this dude was like the face of the lawfare against Trump. Him and Tits and, the couple of those judges, Engeron and a couple of those passages, right? There's a few of those guys are like on the face, right? Anyway, so they're like, this is ridiculous. This is imaginary and unfounded. Okay, that's cool. Dude, you'll get your day in court, bro. That's where I'm at. I don't know for sure. None of us should. Be very careful, by the way, when you have these conversations with people. He's guilty. Now you sound just as douchey as the Democrats, okay? So keep that in mind. Let the courts prove this. You don't know. You can lean in a direction. I feel, use those words when you're having the common ground talks, okay? Use those words, I feel, and you'll be a lot better off than he's guilty. We don't know that, per se. We don't even know how he was brought in. He was a puppet. Someone had their hand shoved so far up his arse that, so, not everything's, we want something weird about the public that we want to see someone just like destroyed, Speaking of someone that should probably get destroyed publicly, Tampon Tim. This dude rocks. He screams. Ah! Something. I don't know. I wish I could do more of a girl scream. Maybe that was pretty good. I don't know. Yeah. Scale 1 to 10. Not girl enough. I know. I get whatever. I could scream, but it'd hurt my voice if I tried to actually hit any sort of girl pitch. Anyway, Trump is suing Waltz's Minnesota for funding tuition for illegals while charging Americans more. So if you're an out-of-state American, you have to pay more. If you're an in-state illegal alien, you pay less than an out-of-state American. And that's essentially what the lawsuit is about. And I agree, letting someone that is illegal, again, they live in the state, by the way. The illegal alien person lives in the state. They are local to the state. I mean, from that standpoint, for sure, they would get in-state tuition. But they're illegal and they're getting a cheaper rate than what somebody that's actually here in this country legally. That is a pretty neat argument. And if it ends up having not only legs, but actual finality, well, this will be done for a lot of things. So this, to me, is kind of maybe one of those cases that we should keep tabs on. Yeah, funding tuition. This is going to be very interesting. Supreme Court is going to be interesting. Make the Supreme Court great again. Judge Paula Zinnis pointed we talked about this. She's keeping Trump from sending Kilmar, it's got kill in his name. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, they can't deport him right now. I'm going to be very curious to see what happens here. Because this is another judge that's probably, I don't know if any of these judges ever get in trouble. And I think that's one thing that there needs to be an example of some kind. And maybe it's the one that's being arrested that tried to sneak one out the court. But this thing that they keep going against the Supreme Court because they didn't feel that they meant that in their ruling. Like the Supreme Court's going to have a moment. I don't know how they do that, how they deal with that, but they've got to suck it up. And we'll see. And maybe this is, John Roberts is part of the problem. Who knows, John? John, are you not up to the challenge of keeping your court under control? Maybe we should let Clarence take over. Maybe you should step down. Maybe you should get out even, for that matter. I'd love to replace you. That'd be fantastic. Though we'd never get through the Senate. So we just have 6. Curious if they try something like that. Monarez, she officially is out at the CDC. We talked about this, so who cares what the political thinks. President Trump will address the UN General Assembly on September 23rd. This is a big deal. We're probably leaving the UN. We're most likely out of the UN, and he's probably going to say something. We'll see where Ukraine and stuff is. I'm assuming the Ukraine war will be done by then, and Trump will basically be announcing to the world, I have ended all wars. Like, I don't know. This is one of those scary moments where, like, if there is going to be an Antichrist, it could. I mean, the dude's awesome. We love him. He's doing he's a great man. I'm not calling him the Antichrist. I'm just saying it's interesting because he's rising up as that Christ figure, kind of. And many people keep saying that Christ is returning. And the Christos, for those of you that maybe don't fully understand this, it was the Christ energy. Jesus was this dude named Yeshua. Josh was his name, actually, not Jesus, but whatever. He enlightened himself to the point of the Christos. Now, to say that Trump is the Christos, maybe. I mean, he's definitely, again, a lot of people wouldn't recognize Jesus if he came today. I'm sure of it. I'm 100% sure of it. I'd say 95% of the population that are, looking for Christ, I guess, would not recognize him. So it's interesting time. Again, I say it a lot. I know. Burn it out. I burned that record hard, but we're changing things big time. Ukraine conflict is Modi's war. This is what, what's his face? Why am I drawing a blank on his name? The dude went to Peter Navarro. Thank God. This is what he's saying. It's true to a sense. India is sort of funding this war because they're buying Russian oil and then they're selling it. And so it's making money for both. India's in a weird place with the United States right now, and it's very interesting because it's obvious, and Modi's in a tough place because it's like he's actually literally being separated from us. And this was probably another culture that's been taking advantage of us, like China. and is now being stopped without necessarily getting the harsh rhetoric because they're not even near as big an economy. So there's this weird like kid gloves kind of in how they slap them and be like, no, you're not stealing from us anymore. So there's this, the relationships are very, anyway, to me are interesting. Las Vegas tourism's faltering. This is a big deal. They're raising prices like crazy. They're not giving all the free stuff, but this actually indicates a huge situation with the pullback in the economy. People don't trust what's going on. That is very much happening at this point in time, and Las Vegas has definitely shown it, and always has been one of the indicators of things like that. Let's see where we actually are with silver, because silver almost was at, it's almost at 40, dude. It's huge. It's huge. 39.69.5 right now. That's awesome. Gold's up at 34.77. I'm telling you guys, there's no doubt about it. The direction that's happening, I wouldn't want to wait too long. We're seeing things happen. Silver's starting to take off. Get out of your 401k IRA. My opinion, okay? Goldco can help you do it. Goldco's the best. They got the best customer service. They're going to help do it quickly. There's DocuSign. You literally can get this done in a couple weeks, 3 weeks, maybe sooner. Depends, but I can take you, depending on you, can take multiple weeks. Goldco is going to make it as fast and easy as possible for you. They're going to answer every single question they can, not necessarily opinion questions, but this process, questions about it, their recommendations from what other clients tend to do. Outside of that, it's a decision. Personally, precious metals hold wealth. So you're taking your wealth right now and you're like, I want to store this in like a battery. And I want that battery to always have that amount of buying power. Whether that was, I could buy, 20 Lexuses, right? Like I could buy 20 Lexuses now, and I want to put that in a battery that I'm going to go in the future, and I still want to be able to expel that and get 20 Lexuses, right? Still have enough to buy that. Whatever the number is, whatever it's worth, I don't care. I want to be able to buy 20 Lexuses. That's what precious metals do, or 20, whatevers. Goldco can help you move through this process. If you have a 401k or an IRA, they can help you tax-free, penalty-free move into physical precious metals. It's put into a trust. They don't send it to you because they can't. That's paying you out. They put it in a trust. You can ask for it at some point down the road, but for now, while it's tax-free and penalty-free, in that stage of the process, you want to just put it into the trust. You're also going to get up to 10% free silver, up to 10% free silver of the face value that you diversify, transition, move, run from. Save that buying power. Save that now while you can. Every day, inflation's taking a bite out of your dollar. Every day. Whatever your stock value is worth, that dollar amount, every day inflation takes a bite out of that. Healthy economy, zero inflation economy is actually 2% inflation, which means every year your dollar loses 2% buying power. I think it's actually faster than that, like monthly you lose 2% buying power. We're losing buying power constantly. Precious metals don't. If you bought an ounce of gold way back when, you've got the buying power of way back when. And today, you'll have the buying power of today. And tomorrow, it's going to suck even more. It is not getting better. It's getting worse. And I'm not trying to be fear. I'm just trying to say if you're in a 401k or IRA, it's probably not the best place to be at this point in history. And you can transfer back out easily. DRSlikesgold.com. 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 Get out of that system before they get out of you. And then you're sitting there with nothing. Oh my God, the stock market went down 100,000%. Sucks. Yeah, don't be there for that. That's going to suck. 4chan suing the British government over their speech laws, which is pretty awesome. Anyway, yeah, that's happening. That's cool. Where is it at, by the way? Now that I'm thinking about it. The UK Office of Communications, Community Support LLC. Local. I assume this is in England? Right? They're suing the UK government. Yeah, it's got to be. So that's cool. Nice. UK's newest crisis? I don't know. A lot of people are... I didn't actually... I'm not... Look, I don't care about England. I got a couple people that email me, and they're probably going to be all pissed. I really don't give a shit about England at all. Not even a tiny bit. Not even the simplest, smallest amount. I wish you guys well. Cheers, mate. I've got friends from England, certainly. But you guys got your problems, man. You got to figure out your shit. It's not us. You guys do your thing, okay? But they got these two flags. There's the UK Union Jack. There is the UK Union Jack flag or England's St. George's Cross. Again, I don't want to pull them up. I don't really care. But this is causing all sorts of consternation with people. It's making the left, or the crazy progressives like, oh, it's making me, offends me. And then the people that kind of are being political and sort of to God and country are actually like, dude, these are our flags. Kind of like we have done. So this is an interesting time for the Brits. Many are saying they're heading into civil war. I think we all are. I mean, technically, we're in a civil war right now. It's just how severe is it and how physical does it have to get is really a big question. You guys aren't really allowed to say anything out there, so it's a little sketch. Viktor Orban from Hungary is kind of sort of laughing at Europe right now, especially Germany in particular, and being like, you guys finally figured out what we figured out 15 years ago. And Germany is. They're finally figuring it out. The German Chancellor's speech confirms everything that we Hungarians have done in the economy over the past 15 years. The Western welfare state is bankrupt, so it was right for us to switch to a labor-based economy in 2010. It was right to stand on more legs and start the Eastern opening. It was right to embrace the most advanced Chinese technology. It was right to lead Europe in electromobility. It was right to maintain economic cooperation with Russia. It was right to stick to cheap Russian energy sources. And it was right to support Donald Trump against migration and for peace. Right? He is nailing it. He's not in our poll, so he's not necessarily like, yeah, I want Trump to rule us. No. Russia and China are going to be a part of that in a big way. But he's calling out our poll, multi-polled world, he's calling out our poll for being on the money. He's calling out Europe for being stupid, which is good. Moscow confirms hypersonic missile strikes on Ukraine. One of the attacks was apparently captured on a CCTV with footage circulating online showing two missiles hitting the same location in central Kiev, and some even identified the site as the police were talking. So anyway, here's the explosion's pretty big. It's kind of a trip, and they hit the same site with two missiles. I don't know if these were the hypersonic missiles or not, but this was, they wanted to make damn sure they hit this. Now, we're being told that, what is this location? Yeah, it was hypersonic, by the way, the Kinzhal missiles. The operation hit several weapons plants, is what we're being told by Russia, anyways. This is more of a Russian angle. I want to say I have another report, maybe they're not the same exact location, but we have another report that's suggesting it was like the UN's office space there. So I don't know if they're the same thing or not, but whatever the case is, pretty gnarly hit here. Oh, I guess there's no volume. But that's, I think, one, and I think it gets a second hit here in a second. That's a pretty big, I mean, a hypersonic's got a lot of kinetic energy, so the fact that it's made a little mini mushroom cloud, like they've said, yeah, and this implies to me they needed to get extra deep. It looks like they hit the exact same spot twice. So that's pretty gnarly. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if this war is going to end tomorrow or when. Russian forces sink a Ukrainian warship. This is some reconnaissance ship, a.k.a. spy ship, the Simferopol, and it was taken out by sea drones. I don't know if it was in port when it happened, but it got sunk, that's for sure. Again, they took out Moskva. That was that hurt Russia. That was painful. I mean, maybe they were cool with it. I don't know. But that was like their ship, their battleship, right? That was their midway almost, the Moskva. Like just the fact that we even sank it, sort of like crazy. Russia strikes British Council and EU headquarters. So this is where I was saying this is, again, National Pulse, so sort of a British angle on the information. And I don't know if this was a separate story, but again, 17 people were killed. A 14-year-old girl, I don't know if we have 23 in here or not. I see they have 20, but yeah, I don't see a 23. They didn't go that far. But again, 14, 17, I keep seeing those numbers together a lot, which creates 31 together, which is an interesting number, 13. Russian ballistic missiles hits Kiev, large-scale attack, killing 17. Again, just another story. I think we already showed it. Killing 17. So they're trying to take the number back. That's them. This is, again, the deep state. Here's a 31. Right? So, again, the numbers are at play all over the place right now. This is the deep state doing their attack. We've been talking about black swans. We've been talking about false flags. We've been talking about a lot of things. I think a lot of this stuff is falling into that, or at least the way it's being reported. That's not... Yeah. Anyway, it's a mess, is a simple way to put it. The war needs to stop. Nuclear inspectors are supposedly allowed back in Iran for the first time since the 12-day war, or whatever the hell it was. So we'll see what they end up finding, if anything. Wanted to cover this quickly. Just a fun little thing to remind people. Comets are a trip, and everybody's talking about 3-1 Atlas, and maybe it's not a comet, okay? I'm not going to sit here and try to tell people. I saw another video recently where they're going into all their information for why it's not a comet. And it's like, all right. Kind of looks like one, sort of, but it has some strangeness to it. I'm just going to say maybe this was a ship too, and we should talk about this one as well. I'm just going to throw it out there if you guys are into the UFO-y stuff, or if you want to talk about strange things about comets. I remember seeing Halley's Comet when I was younger, and that was pretty cool. I was lucky enough to see that in my lifetime. Very young, super cold that night. I remember that. We went out to the desert. It was awesome. Awesome view. And Hale Bopp is another really big one. I remember this one specifically because I was working at an awesome job at the time, and I was walking up to my car, I think to take a smoke break, probably a couple different kinds of smoke, if you will. It was in between turns or something like that. It was a restaurant, and it was an awesome job. And I could see the comet in the night sky, and you could see the split tail. So it had a split tail. It had a tail going, one that just went totally with the solar winds, and it had another one that didn't. Again, interesting. Well, anyway, all said, this thing had 3 different tails, technically. It had a sodium tail also that you couldn't really see unless you used instruments. It had deuterium on it, which is it's heavy hydrogen, essentially, is what deuterium is. It's got an extra neutron. And then there's tritium that's got 2 neutrons. Far less stable, tritium. Deuterium's pretty stable. That's not common, as common, but pretty stable. It exists in Lake Tahoe has a crap ton of deuterium in the bottom of it, and I think the ocean probably does too. The deeper you go, I think you probably find a great deal more deuterium-oriented water because it would be heavier anyway, so it would probably settle, all said. But again, they're just organics they found in it. Argon was in it, rotation, so maybe this one was also a visitor. Whatever the case is, it's not going to hit the Earth, 3-1 Atlas. No chance. We're going to be on the other side of the sun. In fact, we're actually protected if there was any remote chance. This one came into the orbit between Mars and Jupiter. So for anybody that says that's weird, this one did that. Now, this probably came from the Oort cloud, but still. It's not uncommon to go into that area. It's where the heaviest amount of mass in our solar system is outside of the sun. You're either going to orbit close to the sun or you're going to orbit close to Saturn and Jupiter, because that's a big part of the gravitational factor that we offer, right? Or even Uranus and Neptune are pretty big. So you've got those 4 giant-ass planets. So it is not uncommon for it to come into the orbit where it is. Again, whether it's a spy ship, whether it's like a Muamua, whether it's like the other one, whatever, we'll find out. I'm certainly not scared at all. And I've seen it run all sorts of different directions as far as the people taking this information. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with 3-1 Atlas, but comets are cool. And they always have been. And they're symbolic of change, enormously symbolic of change. And once again, I feel like we're taking something that's natural, which natural to me always kind of meant God. It was God. It was a God thing. It was a God moment, right? Acts of God, they frequently call them. And we've removed acts of God. Nothing is an act of God anymore. The weather is all controlled by man. These ships are now spaceships from other people. Like, nothing is natural anymore. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I find it to be very interesting how many people would rather believe something's not natural than just symbolic of what's happening. Like, again, comets have always been harbingers of change. And here's one entering our solar system at this time in history when change is huge. I don't know. It's just interesting. Again, I might be wrong. I'm happy with that. My world's not going to change any if I am, but I'm certainly open to all possibilities. That's one thing. I haven't made up my mind for sure. I've seen pictures. It looks similar to a comet to me. They're saying water's not coming off it. Water doesn't need to. It could have sodium. It could have any number of other chemicals. This idea that all comets are just snowballs floating around in space is not necessarily correct. I actually think they're possibly more plasma, oddly, but they might have particles with them, and they've probably got some charge too. There's drawing a blank on his name. Anyways, it was Larson, Dewey Larson. He did a lot of really, really interesting science, something that's talked about in the Law of One, but it's actually a very interesting physicist to read. He came, I want to say, 40s, 50s, sort of after Tesla, but I think he tried to help take physics to another location. Some disagree with his conclusions. I think his interstellar and the way suns form, and just, again, there's a lot of really, really cool stuff that he talks about that I think he's probably closer than many. All said, who knows? None of us can see these things, right? We've got to trust our scientists to tell us, and we don't trust them. Hopefully that's all changing. Hopefully we get to a point where we can trust, and we'll know what's going on, and we'll be able to trust what's going on. And the Vatican will let us see what's in their libraries. But comets have and can be weird. This was back in 97, by the way. Have and can be weird. So relax. We'll figure it out, but don't make a bunch of assumptions based off of people saying stuff that's not necessarily true. Either that or this was also a spaceship. I get it. There was people that killed themselves when this flew over, by the way. I think that was the Black Nike people. I forget which cult they were a part of. Whatever. Crazy stuff happening in the world. Hopefully you guys are rippling out and making the biggest difference in everyone else's life. I'm trying my best every day, just like you. Just like you. And I love what you guys are doing. Thank you. Got Law of One coming today. Technically, it's Thursday, 3 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Eastern. Friday show, 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern, is going to be a fun oldies show. It's just like doo-wop oldies. I don't know, that old kind of early 50s doo-wop-y kind of, I don't know, it's going to be fun. Just a lot of great music. You guys probably could think of half the songs I'm going to play. It shouldn't surprise you. I don't have any like deep digs per se, but you know, everything they recorded back then was like 14 seconds long. So there's like 8,000 songs. I'll tell you that. That was a bit of a pain in the ass. Needless to say, we put a good group of music together. So I hope you guys appreciate it. I love you all. We will see you soon. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.